South Africa is sitting on a ticking time bomb. Millions of young people are locked out of work, locked out of dignity, and locked out of any realistic economic future. And their numbers are rapidly increasing every single year.
We need to ensure that growth creates jobs for all, and especially for young people.
In his 2025 State of the Nation address, President Cyril Ramaphosa said government-led employment programs have shown that public intervention can create meaningful work for young people.
It's a 12-month program. After that, what do? We sit back at home, we're still unemployed. So low-key, it is very pointless.
On today's episode, we look at one of the contributing factors to the unemployment crisis here in South Africa, which is the skills versus market needs mismatch, with the understanding that
this is not a problem that can simply be solved by any ruling party. It's a systematic problem. The society that we live in, the country that we have structured since 1994, is designed for this to happen.
Welcome to an all-new episode of Looks and Wisdom Sundays with me, Oluchi B.
Hey guys, and welcome to another exciting episode of Looks and Wisdom Sundays with me, Oluchi B. Please say the B, aka the elusive panda darling. How are you feeling? I am feeling good, actually. I'm excited for this week's episode. We are still focused on career longevity through self-preservation. And for the past 2 weeks, I've made 2 essays. So the first one was how to create career longevity on a monotone career. And our celebrity example was Bonang. And by monotone career, we just mean someone who gets a specific skill set and they focus on that for the duration of their career. And then on the second episode, we focus on long-term career preservation for someone who has diverse skills and therefore has diversified their career. And our celebrity example was Pearl Tusi. And I mean, Pearl is an actress, Pearl is a TV presenter, Pearl is a DJ, Pearl is a musician, Pearl is all of these things. And she managed to amass skills that allowed her to diversify her career. And I wanted to bring that up a notch by speaking about something that's very important in career building, and that is the problem of unemployment. So South Africa has a very, very large unemployment rate. I wanted today's episode to focus on mitigating that problem. How do we then pick a career that's going to allow us to be employable? The unemployment stats in South Africa are ridiculous. Employment rate sits at 31.4%. That is more than 7.8 million South Africans who are unemployed. And then there's also high youth unemployment. And then there's also a high graduate unemployment rate that's currently sitting at 11.7% as of the last quarter of 2025. So basically in South Africa, we have an unemployment problem, and I want you to figure out how to overcome that so you can at least get your foot in the career that you want. So I read these 3 articles. One is from Wits, the other one is from Business Tech, and the other one is from Regency. And Regency is like a tertiary institution. So a lot of what I'm going to be talking about today and next week is going to be focused on that. And how do you mitigate unemployment as someone who is picking a career that's going to sustain long term? Firstly, we need to figure out why South Africa has such a high unemployment rate. And according to this article by Wits, these are the 3 reasons why we have such a large unemployment rate in South Africa. The first one is economic growth. So the economy is not growing fast enough to absorb the new people that are getting into the workforce. And secondly, there's like rigid hiring practices in cooperations. They're looking for people with experience. There's like corruption going on in the hiring process in the private and the public sector of South Africa. And then the last one is skill sets versus market needs. So there's a mismatch regarding the skill sets that are being brought to the market and what the market needs. So those are the three things that contribute to the high unemployment rate in South Africa. Now, the first two, which is the economic growth as well as the rigid hiring practices by companies, there's nothing we can do about, because that's out of our control. What we can work on, which is what today's episode is going to focus on, is the skill set versus market needs mismatch, because that's where I feel like all of us can make a change. So according to Business Tech, these are the industries that are lacking supply. And obviously information technology is a lot. It includes communication, it includes AI, it includes digitalization, it includes technology, it includes infrastructure of technology. So basically, skills that are in demand are in IT, business management, finance, and sales. And you can see at the bottom skills that are in oversupply, and admin is in oversupply. So basically, you need to know this information first and foremost before picking a career, which industries are employing people. And then how do you position yourself for the best opportunities? And before we get into this segment, I wanted to speak about something that I learned from Jim Carrey. So Jim Carrey is like a comedian. So his father wanted to be a comedian, but he ended up going for a safe career, which was in accounting. And later on in life, he ended up being retrenched, blah, blah, blah. It didn't work out for him. And Jim Carrey, the son, wanted to be a comedian. And his father was discouraging him, saying, oh, you need to find a job where you can find stability, blah, blah, blah. Entertainment is not a career that you can choose. Jim Carrey still decided to be a comedian, and he became successful. So, in whatever decision you make, like, your intuition and your intention needs to take precedence, because you never know and you need to trust your gut. With that said, you need to find data as well. So, that's why we're here. So, how do you position yourself for best opportunities? Number one, you need to know your interests. What are your interests in life? What are you interested in? Okay, so you know which industries have high supply, which industries have high demand, but really, what are your true interests in life? What are your strengths? What are your strengths, as well as what are your weaknesses? Also, what skills are being demanded in the job market? And then, which skill sets will set you apart for the future? So AI literacy will set you apart. Digital fluency will set you apart. Communication skills will set you apart. Adaptability will set you apart. And critical thinking skills will set you apart. And when you know these things and you know yourself, you can make the best decisions for yourself. And the best decisions are made early. And making an early decision in career means you have to make those decisions by grade 10 already. So in high school, you need to pick the right subjects for yourself. I know that the subjects that you can pick are divided into commerce and divided into sciences, languages, and tourism and history and those things. So it's very important that even then, even in high school, even in grade 10, you pick the right high school subjects. And then these high school subjects are going to inform, first of all, the type of tertiary institution you get into. And that's going to be whether it's a university, whether it's a college, whether it's a technicon, blah, blah, blah. So your school subjects are going to determine the type of tertiary institution you get into, and also the course that you can get into, whether it's a BA, whether it's a BSc, whether it's a B Ed, whether it's a B engineering. That plays a role in your employability later on. And then once you're in your tertiary institution and you're studying towards a qualification that's going to lead you into a career, already you need to get into industry. industry newsletters, industry events, industry mentors, industry, literally anything that has to do with the industry that you're going to get into. Go to the seminars, attend the webinars, get into LinkedIn, get into whatever situation is going on where you can be able to find people in the industry you're going to be going into. Who are the key players? Which companies are the key players? And follow that, follow those trends, because that's going to allow you to have an upper hand, because already you know which companies to look for internships in, who is the person that's going to be the right person to be your mentor. So already in varsity, you need to get into those spaces so you know what the industry is about. And once you graduate, everything that you have done is going to help. And before I end this, it's very important that you start looking for employment or for experience before you graduate. You can job shadow, you can do unpaid internships, you can do paid internships, whatever you can to get a foot in the door as early as possible. This is part one, which is the way through for you to get your foot into the right career that's going to give you high employability chances. And then next week, we're going to talk about how to act when you are already in the job to make sure that you get opportunities, you grow in your career, and you have long-term success. Thank you for watching. Do comment, do subscribe, and do tell your friends. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you. It's one take B. We rarely have to do it twice. You need to get that on camera.